Alright, hello everyone. So in today's live stream we are going to be sculpting this really nice concept by HelloLuigi. So let's get started. And I'm just going to shade this flat, and we're going to get started with the blocking out of this character as usual. So let's go ahead and let's block out the head. So I'm just going to pull this down here, and this face is a lot wider than usual, so I'm just going to pull this out. So this is what we have from the front view. Let's go from the side view. I'm just going to push this one into the shape of an egg, something like this. Okay, the neck is going to be somewhere around here. So the neck will be somewhere around here. So I'm just going to push this into shape, and from the front view actually just go ahead and just slice the sides of the head. We don't want the sides of the head to be this round, so I'm just going to slice this up. Okay, I'll push this into shape a little bit more, and I'll just smooth out those corners around the mouth, something more like this. We are definitely going to adjust the shape a little bit more, but for now, for blockout, this is going to be fine. On the side here, I'm going to mark out the separation between the jaw and the cranium. You can see it a little bit on the sculpt, so I'm just going to mark that one out. Okay, and I'll just also move this to the side, and I'm also going to smooth out this area. Okay, I'll mark out the separation a little bit more. Okay, and we have something that looks like this. I'll go ahead and I'm going to add in another round cube. This round cube, I'm going to use this one to block the ear, to block out the ear of the character. So I'm just going to move this here, scale this down, and S and the Y, I'm going to place it right here. Okay, I'm going to mirror this over to the other side. I'm just going to use a mirror modifier for this for now. Okay, and then I can use the grab brush to sculpt this into place. So now we have something that looks like this from the top view. I'm just going to, actually I'll go into sculpt mode. I'll make use of the line project brush, and I'm just going to slice this. Okay, something like this. And then I'm going to rotate it, place it right here. I just do that once again in sculpt mode with the line project brush. I'm just going to slice this off. Okay, something like this. And now we can make use of the grab brush to just keep tweaking it. So I'm just going to move this up. Alright, something like this is going to work just fine for now. I'm going to adjust the shape of the head a little bit more. And on this character, you're going to notice like there's a very prominent bean shape on the face of this character. So I'm just going to start getting that in on my own character. So I'm just going to push in this part right here. And then I'm also going to start defining the shape of the jaw a little bit, and I'll start making it look a lot more like the reference. So I can just push this up, and I'm going to pull out the cheeks a bit more. So I'm just taking a look at my reference and transferring what I see on my reference onto the sculpt. Okay, something like this. I'm going to push this in a little bit more. Okay, also I'm going to work on the ear a little bit more. I'm just going to slice this once again, and also from the front, something like this. Hello everyone in the chat, how are you doing? Hello Jones, Ralph Jones, how are you doing? Okay, something like this looking good. I'm just going to use the crease polish brush to mark this out, and then I'm also going to smooth this out. Okay. This is looking good. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to add in another round cube right here. I'm going to scale this down, place it right here, and I'm just going to extrude this one down for the neck. I'll scale everything down. Okay, and something like that is going to work. I'm just going to select this, bring this down, and I can scale this one in just to start to follow the shape that I have on the reference. And then I'm going to add in some more loopholes there, and we can smooth out the shapes of this. If I just go into sculpt mode, I'm just going to smooth this out. And I'm going to use the line project brush to just slice this. Okay, now we have something that looks like this. I'm just going to push this out just to start to, so this part is going to merge with the rest of the body. So I'm just going to push this part out. Okay, I can also come in here and adjust the shape of the face. Alright, so we have something that looks like this. Okay, and I'm also going to use another round cube, and this time I'm going to block out the body of the character. So let me just zoom out here. I'm going to use this round cube, S and X and Z, to scale this on the Z axis, and I can place this right here. I'll also just zoom out on this part, S and Y. I'm going to scale this down and rotate it, and I'm going to place this right here. And I'm going to sculpt mode, and let me just start sculpting this into place. I'm just going to push this in. Okay, so I'm just taking a look at the shape on the concept, and I'm going to recreate the shapes that I see. So right here, the shoulder is going to be right here, and come narrow down here to the wrist. I'm just going to make the wrist really narrow, and right here is going to be the hips. Okay, so that's from the front view. Let me take a look at this from the side. I'm just going to push this in. I'm going to bring this part out. Then I can make right here really narrow for the wrist. Okay, and I'm just going to push this up, something like this. Alright, so I'll just go around and check the proportions if everything is fitting right. Okay, now I have something that looks like this. I'm going to smooth out this area right here. I'm just going to adjust the shapes that I have so far, make sure everything is working nicely together. And something I can do is just use the line project brush to slice this part off. I'm not going to be seeing the bottom, so I'm just going to slice that part off. At the back here, I can just crease the line in the back. I can just make this crease at the back or something like that. Okay, the neck, I think I need to adjust a little bit more. I'm going to scale this down on the y-axis and move this one forward, and then I'll also just move the body forward. Yeah, something more like this. Okay, and I can adjust the shapes of the head. I'm going to make the back a lot bigger, a lot wider, so that when we place the hair, it actually makes sense. So I'm just going to bring this back. Okay, something like this is looking good, and I'm just going to clean out the forehead with the script brush. Alright, something that looks like this. I'm going to adjust the shapes of the shoulders, or the shape of the torso a little bit more. We are going to add in the shoulders with another round cube. And I'm just going to start just matching the shapes that I have in the concepts right now. Okay, and I'm taking a look at it from the back just so that I match this up with the reference. So something like this. I need to widen this out a little bit more, and I might need to make here a little bit more narrow. Okay, just going to pull out this area, so just something like that. Okay, and now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add in the shoulders. I'll add another round cube, and I'll take this right here and just place it right here. Okay, I'll make sure that's placed in the correct spot from the side view, and I'll go back into sculpt mode. I'm just going to adjust the shape of the shoulders. Actually, just before I get started with sculpting, I'll just delete this, and before I start sculpting on the round cube, I'm going to reduce the number of arcs that I have to just the number of subdivisions, just so that it's easy to push and pull this around. So now with the grab brush, I can now easily push and pull this around. So when you don't have as much resolution, it's much easier to pull the shapes around. So that's just why I did that. So I'm just going to push this into shape from the side view. And I'm going to make sure that this is actually looking good. Okay, I'm going to mirror this over to the other side. Alright, now we have shoulders that look like that, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to block in the upper arm. With the upper arm, I can add in another round cube. For this one, I'm going to increase the arcs back to the default. I'm going to scale this one down here, and I can just extrude this down, scale it and rotate it, place it somewhere around here. And the arms look very long, so I'm just going to bring this down to somewhere around here. Okay, I'll scale this side down, scale this part up. Okay, and then I'm going to mirror this over to the other side, and I'm going to adjust the shape of the shoulder. Now that we have the arms in there, we can adjust the shape of the shoulder. I'll just make sure that this is blending nicely with the rest of the body. Okay, I see another question. Do you sculpt your character on T-pose first, then pose it later, or you sculpt it pose, because most concept referees are characters. Okay, so what I'm going to do in this case, I'm going to sculpt the character in a T pose. Then once I like the proportions, I'm not going to start merging everything together just yet, but I'm going to block out, sculpt everything in a T pose. And then once I like the way the T pose is looking, then I'll go ahead and pose it. Okay, that's the workflow I'm going to use for this particular sculpt. But you can definitely go ahead and sculpt your character in a pose position already. That's just so I want to also make use of X symmetry. So right now, if I sculpt on this side, I'm also sculpting on the other side. So by sculpting it in a T pose like this, I can also make use of X symmetry. If I were to sculpt this already posed, I'll have to sculpt like on both sides. So I'm just trying to avoid that for now. So I'm just going to sculpt it in a T pose, or block it out in a T pose, and then I'll pose it and then refine the sculpt. Okay, now I'm going to adjust the shape of the upper arm. I hope that clears that up for you. Feet reach, does that clear that up for you? Let me know. Okay. Now I have something that looks like this. This is going to be the upper arm. Okay, and then I'm just going to block out the lower arm. I'm going to duplicate this object, and I'm just going to make this one the lower arm. And I'm going to sculpt this into place. So for the lower arm, something like this. And I also ensure that this looks good from the side view too, not just from the front view. All right. And now I'm going to adjust the shapes of the shoulders. Alright, so this is looking good so far. I'm going to adjust the shape of the waist a little bit more. Alright, something like this. And let me go in and let me block out the hands. And I see equation. For me right now, sculpting shoulder is hard. The easiest way to sculpt the shoulders is to use a blockout. So just like I did right here, just use a separate object instead of sculpting it from one object. And if you notice if you just go back on the live stream, you notice I used a lower resolution mesh to sculpt the shoulders, because that way it's easier to push and pull it around into the shape that we want when we have a lower resolution. So just use a lower resolution blockout mesh to block out or to sculpt the shoulders, and also make sure you're looking at reference so that it's a little bit easier to sculpt exactly what you want. Okay, so those are just some tips. So let me go ahead and I'm going to sculpting the hand. I'm going to add in another round cube. I'm going to place this right here. Okay, I'm going to go into sculpt mode. I'm just going to use the line project brush, and I'm going to slice this. Alright, something like that. I'm going to scale this down, place it right here. Alright, and I'll go back into sculpt mode. I'll make use of the grab brush to just push this into shape a little bit more. I'm going to smooth out the edges right here and also right here. So I know we are not going to see the palm, so I'm not going to really spend time working on this. So I'm just going to block out the shapes. I'm going to inflate this part out, and also right here. I'm just going to smooth those over. Okay, and I'm going to mirror this over to the other side. I'm just going to apply all the transforms, and for the fingers I'm going to use a very simple method. I'm going to add in a cube. I'm going to merge all these vertices at the center, and I'm just going to extrude out that vertex, and this is going to be our fingers. I'm just going to rotate it and place it somewhere around here. And to actually make this look like a finger, I'm going to add in a skin modifier. I'm also going to add in a subdivision surface modifier. Okay. And I'm just going to use this for the block out of the fingers. I'm going to duplicate this. And I'm just going to rotate them into place. Then I can select these ones, scale them down. I'm going to scale these ones from the individual origins. Okay, I'll just place these ones appropriately on the character. I can add in another cut at the middle there. I'll just move this one something like this. I can select these ones, place them right here. I'm also just going to adjust the shape of the palm. Okay. Something like this, and I'm just going to relax the shape of the fingers a little bit more. Okay, I'm just going to adjust that actually. I'm going to bring this one in. Okay, and I'm just taking a look at my own hands now just to see how those look relaxed, and I'm going to duplicate this one for the thumb. I'm going to place the thumb right there, and I'm just going to adjust this, and I'm also just going to adjust the shape of the palm to make it fit this side for the thumb. Okay, so just a very simple basic shape of the hands. I'm just going to keep it really simple on the hands right now. Hello Niraj, how you doing? I'm just going to just the shape of the arm to make sure it fits the fingers. And then I'm also just going to adjust fingers just a little bit more. Okay, now we have something that looks like this. Okay, and let me also adjust the shape of the thumb, and I'm just going to mirror these ones over to the other side. I'll use the head as the mirror object. And I'm just adjusting the overall shape of everything just to make sure that before I start sculpting, everything starts to look good. So this is the blockout. I like what that's looking like right now. Okay, I don't think that looks too bad. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start sculpting some other parts. So I'm going to focus on the fish right now. Okay, so this is our blockout, and let me just actually save. Alright, I'm going to increase the image resolution, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to start sculpting the face. So let me just define some of those areas that we marked out during the blockout stage. And I'm just going to zoom in here so that I can see the face a little bit closer. Alright, now let's start working on the face. I'm going to mark out the eye line here. Okay, I'm also just going to smooth till I get somewhere around here. So right here is going to be where the eyebrows are going to be. This right here. I'm going to just push this back a little bit more so the nose is going to sit somewhere around there. Okay, and let me also go ahead and let me block out the nose. I'm going to add in another round cube. I'm going to scale this down and place it right here. Okay, I see another. Okay, I've learned a lot from you. Thanks a lot. Okay, you're welcome, Niraj. You're welcome. My pleasure. Okay, let's continue on. I'm just going to select this and I'm going to extrude this into the face, just something like this. I'll just add in some more cuts here. Select these ones, repeat them. Alright, and let's block out the shape of the nose. I'm just going to push this out a little bit more. Also bring this part down. And I'm just going to push this into place. Okay, so I'm also just going to change the orbit of my scene a little bit more. Alright, I think something like that is going to work for now. and then we're going to place this right here. Okay. So what I'm trying to do here is just to align my sculpt a little bit more to the reference. So that's why I turned on this orbit method. With the trackball orbit method, you can rotate your scene in some interesting ways that you won't be able to rotate the scene if it was on turntable. So by default it's on turntable, so I just changed this to trackball. Okay, so something like this should work just fine for now, just so that I can match that with the reference a little bit more. I'm going to adjust the shapes of the ear. They are looking a little bit too big right now. I'm just going to adjust those. I'm going to hold down shift and smooth out everything. Okay, something like this. And I'm going to actually add in more resolution right here. I'm going to smooth over all of these. I'm going to reduce the resolution a bit, okay, somewhere around here. And let me actually go in and sculpt in the ear. The ear for this one is going to be really simple. I'm going to use in the lasso max brush. Okay, and okay, I'm going to deselect the back side for now. Alright, I'm going to invert my selection. Then I'm just going to use the grab brush to push this in, and then to also push this in. Okay, and I'm going to remesh all of this. I'm just going to smooth out this area here. I'm going to actually inflate this part of the ear, just so that it's not too slim right here. So I'm just going to inflate that, and then I'll adjust the shapes of this. And now we're just going to smooth out the shapes on the sculpt, and we can start refining this one a little bit more. So I'm just going to refine the shape that I have on the ear there. Okay, this is looking good for the ear. I'm just going to refine the shape here a little bit more. Okay, now we have something that looks like that. That's going to look fine for now. I'll go back to the face, and I'm going to merge the nose and the head together. I'm going to remesh those together. I'll just increase the remesh resolution and remesh those together. And to merge everything nicely, also smooth out transitions, I just like to use the cliches brush to add in some volume right there. And then I'm going to smooth this out. And also right here. Then I'll just work on the shapes at the bottom of the nostrils a little bit more. So just something like that to indicate the nostrils. And I'll make sure that the cheek is still nice and round. So I'm just going to add in some volume right here. Okay, and the lips are going to be really easy. I might not even mark this one in. I might just use like grease pencil to just draw the shape of the lip. Okay, I'm going to use grease pencil to just mark out the shape of the lips, but I'm just going to indicate the corner of the mouth. So just something like that. And then I can just use the grab brush to just push this out a little bit more. Okay, I'm going to smooth out all of these areas right here. And I'm going to define the jaw just a little bit. So just something like this. I'm going to use the script brush to just plane out right here. Alright, now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add in the eyeballs. The eyeballs, I'm going to add in a UV sphere. I'm going to rotate this on the x-axis by 90 degrees, and I'm going to place it right here for the eyeballs. I'm also just going to move these ones into position. I'm going to mirror it over to the other side, and something I like to do is to go ahead and paint in the iris on the eyes of my character. So I'm just going to select some of those edges in edit mode, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to paint those in. Okay, to make sure to see that when I'm still in object mode, I'm going to go up here to object color and choose attributes. Also the same thing right here, I'm going to choose attribute, and I'm going to shade this one smooth. Okay, I'm actually going to get rid of the mirror modifier. I'm going to Alt D to duplicate this one. I'll set my pivot point to the 3D cursor. I'll make sure my 3D cursor is in the old origin, and then I'm going to mirror that eyeball, the eyeball that I just duplicated, to the other side. So Ctrl M to mirror, and then X to mirror it over to the other side. Okay. And now if I change my pivot point back to the origins, I can now rotate this. Okay, but I'm going to do that a little bit later on. But for now, just make sure that the placement is looking good. I'm going to turn off the specular lighting. Also do that here too. Alright, and now let me go ahead and let me sculpt in the eyes or the eyelids for this character. Just before I start sculpting in the eyelids, I'm just going to push back some of these areas just to prepare where the eyelids are going to sit. Then also the same thing on the bottom here. Alright, now I'm going to go ahead, I'll use the draw brush. I'm just going to draw out the upper eyelid. Okay, now that I have that in place, I'm just going to adjust this to fit the shape of the character that I have. And I'm also going to just mark out or draw out the lower eyelids here. Okay, and I think these eyes are coming out a little bit too much, so I'm just going to scale this and move these ones back, something like this. And then I'm just going to push this to follow the shape of the eyeballs. Alright, and right here I'm going to round out the shape of the eyelids just so that it matches the concept a little bit more. I can use the draw brush right there. I'm just adjusting the shape of the eyelids to make it look right. Alright, something that looks like that. I'm going to get rid of this other eye. I'm going to duplicate this and mirror this over to the other side. So I'm just going to choose the 3D cursor, Ctrl M and X to mirror this over to the other side. And now we have something that looks like this. I'm going to go back to individual origins and I'm just going to rotate this to just look off to the side, just like the reference. Alright, and now with this, I can use this to better judge the proportions of the eyelids. So I'm just going to push some of these back. And I'm going to start rounding out some of the shapes on the eyelids a little bit more. Okay, I'm going to increase my remesh resolution here and I'm going to remesh this. Alright, and then I'm just going to smooth out the eyelids here. And I'm also just going to mark out the eyebrow line just so that I start to get an indication of the eyebrow here. And I can just start to push this into shape just a little bit more. Okay, now we have something that looks like this. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add in the eyebrows and the eyelashes on this character. So I'm going to add in a plane. I'm going to rotate this and I'm just going to move it in front of the face and I'll place it where the eyebrow is going to be. I'm going to turn on the snapping options and I'm just going to start extruding a very simple eyebrow shape. Okay, just going to place this onto the character. I'll add in a solidify modifier. Now increase the thickness right here. I'm also going to mirror this over to the other side and I'll just reduce the thickness, something more like this. And I can add in more loops just to get the shape of the character looking right. And I'm just going to vertex paint mode. I'm going to paint in this mesh. Alright, so I actually painted a brown color just like you see on the reference. Something like that, and I can go into sculpt mode and actually make use of the sculpting brushes to sculpt this a little bit nicely. Okay, now we have something that looks like this. Alright, I'm also just going to go ahead and I'm going to make the eyelashes. So I'm just going to extrude out the eyelashes here. So something like this. I'm going to hide the eyes here, and I'm just going to extrude this out. And I'm going to create new faces right there, and I can go into the vertex paint mode, and then I can just paint in the eyelashes there. I'm going to increase the value. Okay, something more like this. And I'll go into sculpt mode. I'm going to adjust the shapes right here. So now we have something that looks like this. I'm just going to adjust the shape of the eyelashes a bit more. I'm going to hide this again, and I'm going to duplicate this. I'm just going to extrude along the edge of the lower eyelid too. I'm going to vertex paint mode. I'm just going to paint this into place. I'll unhide the eyes there. And I'll make use of the grab brush to just tweak the shape of the eyelash that we have here. I'm going to add in some volume around the eyelids here. Okay, just to define the shape of the eyelids, and I'll just make the eyelids follow shapes that I have on the reference a little bit more. I'm going to bring up the shape of the eyelids here, and I can also adjust the shape of the eyelashes. Okay, now we have something that looks like that. I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to model in the glasses. So to model in the glasses, I'm just going to use a circle here. I'm going to rotate this on the x-axis by 90 degrees. I'll bring it out to the side here. I'll scale it down and scale it on the x-axis. So we have something that looks like this. And I'm going to add in a skin modifier, and I'll just go in and reduce this, and I'll also add in a subdivision surface modifier. Alright, and I'm going to also mirror this over to the other side. I'm just going to duplicate this part here. And I'm going to make it follow this shape right here. Okay, now we have something that looks like this. Okay. And I'm just going to put these glasses in the right spots, and I'm going to select this, and I just move this a little bit apart. Okay, I'll also just angle the glasses upwards this way, and from the front view or from the top view, I'm going to rotate this a little bit. Okay, now we have something that looks like this. Okay, now we have something that looks like this. Okay, I see equation retopple. I'm not going to retopologize in this just because that's going to take a really long time. So I'm just going to be sculpting it, no retopology for this specific sculpt. Okay, now what is next to do? I'm going to adjust the shapes of the eyebrows a little bit more, and I'm actually going to separate this into its own objects. Then I'm just going to adjust the shapes of the eyebrow. So yeah, this fits the shape on the reference a lot more than what I had before. Okay, and something like this is going to look good for now. I'm just going to adjust the shapes here in the ears, and I can refine the shapes a little bit. Alright, And I think I can go ahead and merge the ear and the head together. So I'm going to do that right now. Ctrl G to join those together. Okay, and just before I do that, I'm going to refine the shape of the ear from the side view, just so that it doesn't look too crooked. We can smooth out some of the shapes here. Okay, and I'm going to mesh this together, and I'm going to adjust them together, and I can smooth out the transitions here. Alright, and I'm also just going to adjust the shapes of the face just a little bit more to make it rounded just even more. I can also just push this ones up. Okay, something more like that. Okay, we're going to add in something like this. It's looking good, and I'm just going to isolate this, and I'm going to just clean up the shapes going around the eyelids a little bit more. Okay, something like this looks good for the eyelids. Alright, and I'm just going to adjust the shapes around the eyelids a little bit more. Okay, just going to adjust the shapes of the eyelids a little bit more, and I can also adjust the shapes of the ears now that everything is joined together. Okay, I'm going to adjust the shapes around the ears just a little bit more, just to get more of the shape that I actually want on the ears. All right. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add in some more resolution to the other parts of the sculpt. So I've been working on the face a lot, and something I forgot to do was to apply the mirror modifier on the other side of the ear. So I'm just going to symmetrize this model. Okay, nice. I'm going to add in some more resolution on the neck here. And I'm just going to smooth out all the shapes, also adding more resolution on the wrist. Smooth out all the shapes that we have so far. I'll take a look at this from the back to see how that's looking at the back. You can just define some of the shapes that we have in the back right here. Okay, and I see something in the chat, how to sculpt hair. Okay, you're going to see how I do that in a little bit. So if you just hold on, you're going to see how you can sculpt hair. I'm going to sculpt hair of this character right here very soon. Okay, so okay, I'm going to actually okay, so something like this is looking good for now. Okay, I'm going to sculpt in the shoulders. Just make sure that it's in the right position. I'll add in some more resolution. I'm going to smooth this out. I'm also going to add in some more resolution to the upper arm here. I'm just going to smooth some out. Also the same thing on the lower arm. And I'm going to smooth some out. Alright. Nice. Okay. I'm just taking a look at everything that I have so far. I'm just making sure that everything is working together nicely. Okay. And just before I pose this character, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to sculpt the hair for the character. So I'm going to go into sculpt mode here, and I'm going to use the lasso wax brush. I'm just going to make a selection of where the hair is going to be. So let me just see. Okay, I'll deselect the unwanted parts. Alright, and we have something that looks like this. Okay, and this is going to look good for the base of the hair, so I'm just going to mask and I'm going to extract this one out. Then I'm going to increase the thickness here. So we have something that looks like this. Okay, now I'm going to apply this modifier and I'm just going to remesh everything here. Ctrl R to the mesh, and I'm just going to smooth out the shapes at the top of the hair here, also on the side too. And right now I'm using the symmetry option, but I can definitely see that the hair is not symmetrical, but I'm just going to make use of the symmetry options to get started. And then I'm going to turn off symmetry and make use of the symmetry. Okay, I'm going to push this in, so something like this. It's going to serve as a nice base to start sculpting the hair. Okay, and to start sculpting the hair, I'm going to turn off the asymmetry here, and from just based on what I can see, I think there's something like this on the hair. So I'm just going to mark this pattern on the hair, or something like this, and then this part is going to come out a lot more. Okay, just based on what I see on the reference, on the concept. So I'm just going to bring this out. Okay, something like this. Alright, nice. I'm going to remesh this a little bit more. I'm just going to mark out this pattern here. And I'm going to use the cliches brush to add some direction on the sculpt, so on the hair, on the hair sculpt. So just using the cliches brush, you can add in some direction right here. Okay, something like this is going to look good. I'm going to add in some additional parts to the hair. So let me just adjust this. So I'm going to add in this. If I just zoom in here, so this part of the hair, I'm going to add that in. I'm going to use another mesh to add that in. But just before I get there, let me just define the shapes on the hair a little bit more with the cliches brush. Okay, and I'm going to add in another cube. I'm going to move this one over to this side. I'm going to scale this down S and Z to scale it on the Z axis, and S and shift Z. I can just scale this something like this. Alright, I'll just paste this somewhere around here. I can go into sculpt mode. I can make use of the sculpting brushes to just sculpt this more into place. I'm going to increase right here. Okay, I'm going to add some more resolution here. I'm just going to sculpt this out, adding a lot more resolution here. I can just start to add in some more direction in this strand right here. Alright, something like that is looking good. So I'm going to edit mode, and I'm just going to scale this down a little bit more. Alright, and I'm going to adjust the shapes of the hair. Okay, now I have something that looks like that. Something I'm going to do here, I'm just going to hide the eyebrows for now, and I'm going to pull out the forehead on this character a little bit more. So I'm just using the grab brush and just pulling this out. I can also just add in some volume right here, just something like that. I'm just going to smooth this out. Okay, I'm going to unhide the brows, and I'll just place those correctly on the surface of the sculpt. Alright, so I'm going to adjust the shape of the head. Alright, nice. I'm going to the vertex paint mode. We can actually do this in sculpt mode with the paintbrush. I'm just going to choose the color of the hair. Something around here. And I'll just try to get the right color for the hair. Yeah, something like this. Okay, something like that. It's going to be fine for now. Okay, and I'm also just going to paint this one to in. And this part of the hair, I'm going to add that part in once I pose the character. Let me just also go ahead and paint in the face of the character. Okay, is that the color? No. I'm going to choose a less saturated color. Yeah, something more like that. And I'll go in with the red color. It's a red color. I'm just going to copy this and I'll adjust the colors here. Okay, I'll turn on the pressure sensitivity for the strength. And I'm going to come in here. I'm just going to paint some of these in. Also painting the cheeks right here. And also the nose. Can hold down shifts and paint over this. Okay. Alright. And I'm also just going to go in and add in some freckles on the face. So right here on the brush settings, I'm going to change some of the settings. Where is it? I'm just going to come here. And I'm going to increase. There's this jitter setting that I'm looking for right now. Okay, under stroke, I'm going to increase the spacing. I'm also going to increase the jitter settings. Alright, right there. And I'm just going to paint this one in. Alright, something more like that. I'm going to switch back to that red color. I'll just select it from here. Shift X to sample that color. And I'm just going to paint it in. Okay, here, let me change back the settings here. I'm going to set this back to the defaults, and then I should be able to paint properly on this. Okay, I'm going to adjust the placement of the eyebrows just a tiny bit, and I'm going to actually apply the mirror modifier, and I'll just adjust this one differently than the other eyebrow. Okay, I have something that looks like that. That's looking good for me. And I'm just going to go in and I'm going to paint in some of these other objects. Alright, I'm going to apply the modifiers here. I'll apply the skin modifier. Okay, now we have something that we can paint on. I'm just going to paint in the glasses. And I'm going to adjust the shapes of the glasses a bit more. Okay, I'm going to come in here on the eyes. I'm going to duplicate this and Alt S to scale them up a little bit. And I can just adjust the shape of these. Okay, I'm going to adjust what the shape of this is looking like. Alright, and also on the eyes right here, I can add in a loop cut right here. I'm going to go into the vertex paint mode here. I'm just going to paint in a little bit of blue on the eyes. Okay, something more like this. I'm going to adjust the shapes of the glasses a little bit more. Nice. Okay, and now I'm going to start posing this character into place. And just before I pose this, I'm going to get rid of the mirror modifier on all of these. Okay, and I'm also going to set the origin points for each of these objects. I'm just going to move them to where these would actually move from, so to where I can actually be able to pose these different objects from. Okay, I also make sure that it looks good from the side view too. Okay, and the hands here, the hands should be correct. Now I'm going to duplicate this and mirror them over to the other sides. I'm going to Shift D to duplicate this. I'll use the 3D cursor as my pivot point and Ctrl M and X to mirror them over to the other side. And I'm going to apply the transforms on these ones. Ctrl A, apply the transforms, and I'm just going to recalculate the normals. And now what we can do is to parent these objects. Actually, I should justify duplicate that over to the other side. I should actually parent this first of all. So I'm just going to parent this, Ctrl P, parent this to the objects, parent this one to this one here, parent this one to this one, then also parent this one to this one. And now if we move this, it's moving like a rig, just like the way a rig is going to behave. It's not the best rig, but we are going to make it of it. I'm just going to select these ones, Shift D to duplicate this, and I'll make sure my fuse point is on my 3D cursor. Ctrl M, X, move it to the other side, and Ctrl A. I'm going to apply all the transforms, and Shift A to recalculate the normals, or Shift N to recalculate the normals. Okay, now let me go ahead and let me start posing this. So I'm just going to pose the left side first, or actually I can go ahead and I'm going to, let me also parent this to the body. Okay, so now if I rotate the body, I'm just going to bring the body down here. Okay, now if I rotate the body, okay, everything is moving nicely, just the way we want it to. And I'll come in from somewhere around here. I'm going to rotate. Okay, so I just want to have the same rotations that I have on the reference. Okay, and I see a question. Hi man, do you know you can select all the objects with the mirror modifier, then holding Alt Delete? Yeah, actually know that, but because I'm using the emulate button mouse, that doesn't work. So that's just why I don't use that option, but I'm aware of that option. Thank you. So I'm just going to place this right here. Okay, and I'm going to start to push this. Okay, so I have something like this right now. I'm going to adjust the shape of this. I'm just going to start pushing the hand right here, and the shapes are going to break. That's completely fine. We can go into sculpt mode and we can shape this up nicely to fit the changes that we made, but I'm going to do that later on. Right now I'm just going to focus on posing. Okay, Control 3 so I can actually see this right here. From the front view, I'm going to rotate this one like this, and then I'm going to rotate this arm something like this. Okay, nice. I like what this is looking like right now. I'm just going to rotate this here. Yeah, something more like that. I'm going to adjust the shapes of the shoulders, and right here I'm also just going to adjust the shapes of the shoulders. Okay. I have done something wrong right now. Oh shit. I'm going to undo. Okay, to somewhere around here. And I'm going to delete these. So when I move these ones over to this side. Okay, just one thing that I want you guys to go ahead and do now, if you're still watching this live stream, is the tip for you. So just go to systems, or to save and load, and then is it here under systems? So under systems, if you go under system, memory and limits, just set to your undo steps to something like 100. The default is like 32. Set it to 100, because sometimes you might need to go really far back I might not have like enough undo steps, so just set this to 100. You can even set it to 200, but I'm going to leave it at 100 so that you can revert back your changes in case you ever make a mistake. All right, let's keep on going. I'm going to duplicate this, Shift D to duplicate this. I'm going to mirror it over to the other side, and let's not apply the transforms. That was the mistake I made earlier on. Now, I'm not going to apply the transforms, because once you apply the transforms, the origins are going to move back to where they are. If I want to do anything here, I should only be applying the scale. Okay, for every other thing. Okay, and okay, every other thing should be working just fine. All right. Okay. Now let's go ahead and let's just keep on posing the character. I'm just going to move some of these objects to the origin points. So this origin points to the correct places. Alright. And I can select these ones, and I'll just make sure that the body search also has the correct origin point placements. Alright, so I'm going to select this and parent this to the body, and I'm going to rotate this. Okay, something like this. From the side view, I'm just going to place it. Okay, something more like this, and I can select the head. You can select everything that's meant to be parented to the head, and then just parent those to the head, so that I can just select the head and move this up and down. Okay, nice. I'm going to rotate this. Okay, and if you need to, we can always still come back and adjust the face. But I'm going to leave the face for now. I think we have done enough work on the face. I'm going to come back to the face a little bit later. Right now I want to work on the body of this character. So the face, I'm going to leave it how it looks for now. Okay, and let me see. I need to adjust the position of the neck. Okay, something like this is going to look just fine. Alright, and now let's get back to posing. I'm going to flip it over to the other side, and now let me start posing this into place. So I'm just going to raise up the shoulders. I'm going to bring this one down here, and something like this. Nice. Alright, now I have something that looks like this. I'm also going to pose the other side, even though we are not really going to see it. But let's go ahead and let's pose it. And the hands should be somewhere around here. Okay, and okay, nice. I'm going to let's go ahead and place these fingers the way it should be. Okay, something like this, and I'm just going to apply all the modifiers on this one. visual geometry to mesh. I also apply them on this one too. Okay, no, I don't need to apply them on this one. Control A, visual geometry to mesh, and now I can go ahead start sculpting the shape of the fingers. Okay, something like that, and I can just rotate this one. Alright, and I can also go ahead and I can paint in these ones now. Okay, nice. I haven't yet painted the thumb, but that's fine. Oh, I haven't yet applied the modifiers on the thumb, but that's fine for now. Okay, now we have something that looks like this. I'm just going to hide this hand. I don't need to see this one. Alright, something that looks like this is looking good. I'm going to start to place this. And the back, let me see if I can just tweak the shapes on the back a little bit more. So I think I need to make this a lot longer. Okay, so I'm just adjusting I'm just adjusting the shapes to make it look a lot more like the reference. And can adjust the shapes on the neck. Okay, and so far I like how this is looking. I'm going to adjust the shapes of the shoulders a bit more. Now that we have posed it, we're going to need to adjust it a little bit more. Okay, I'm also going to adjust this other shoulder on this other side. Okay, so on the neck for this character, I still have something that looks like this. I'm just going to adjust the head. Alright. like how this is looking so far. I'm going to shade this one smooth. And also shade this smooth. Okay, this is looking good. It's looking good so far. Okay, so these ones, I'm just going to select hierarchy. Okay, this is the one that we actually want to use. Select the hierarchy there, and I'm just going to slash. Okay, I have gotten confused of which mesh I just duplicated. So let me try and find those meshes right now. Okay, should be these ones. So I'm just going to isolate these. Okay, and I'm going to do what I did before. I'm going to use the box select here. But just before I do that, I'm just going to paint this in with a different color, just so that I know that these are different. Alright, and if I hide these other ones, okay, I think I have messed up somewhere. I'm just going to Ctrl Z. I messed up something here. This is the main body that I want to keep. Okay, so I'm going to hide those. Okay, alright, and I don't need this one. I can delete that. So this part, okay, yeah. Alright, nice. And now I'm going to go in and I'm just going to paint this in with a different color, just so that I can differentiate them a bit easily. I'm going to use the box trim right here to just trim out this part of the sculpt. Okay, somewhere around there should be okay for the shirt. Alright, I'm also just going to select, going to sculpt mode. I'm going to use the mesh filter, and I'm going to merge all of these ones together. Ctrl G to mesh them together. I'm going to use the mesh filter, and I'm just going to inflate these ones up a little bit more. Just to add some volume to them. Okay, now this is going to be the clothes object, and let me unhide every other thing. Okay, this is going to be the clothes object. I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to remesh all of these together. Control R to remesh this together. Okay, and that has been remeshed nicely together. And now I'm just going to go in and smooth out the transitions, and then we'll make this look more like clothes. So I'm just going to smooth out the transitions, just holding down shift. And I'm smoothing out the transitions right here. Okay, nice, something like this. I'm just going to paint in everywhere, and let me actually just choose the color that I see on the reference. So that should be something like this. Nope. And I'll just remove saturation from this. Yeah, that's something more like that. Okay, I'm going to make it darker just a little bit. Okay, and I'm going to smooth out these. And now I'm going to go in and I'm just going to sculpt out the clothes. Make this look a lot more like clothes. Okay, I'm just going to start using the draw brush to add in some folds. So adding right here. Okay, I have something that looks like that. I'm also just going to come in here at the bottom or at the back here. I can get rid of this line. So I'm just going to smooth out the transitions there. Hold down shift and smooth this out. And also down here too. And now I'm going to use the crease polish brush just to mark out right here. Okay, so something like that is starting to look good. I'm just going to adjust the shapes of the clothing a bit more. Alright, I'm going to also go in and just mark in some seams on the clothes right here. I can use the crease sharp brush to just go in and mark out some seams right there. Okay, something like that. And just make sure I painted in everywhere correctly. I'm just going to smooth out the shapes at the back. Okay, and now let me go ahead right here. I don't need any of these. I'm just going to push this down. I'm going to add in another object that's going to represent the color of the shirts. Okay, and I'm going to add in another round here, or I could duplicate the neck. Shift D to duplicate this. I'm going to Alt S to scale this up, and I'm going to go into sculpt mode and make use of the box trim to just trim out this part right here. I'm going to the paints, and I'm just going to paint this the same color as every other thing. And now I'm going to use the grab brushes to just push this into place. Alright, something more like that. It's a lot easier to do than adding or using a new object. Alright, something like this. Alright, and I'm going to adjust some of the shapes in the shoulders. And I can also adjust the shapes of the fingers here. I can see that they are clipping through the hand. Okay, something like that. I'm going to also just adjust this. Alright, nice. And I'm liking the way this is looking right now. Okay, I'm not going to be sculpting the trousers. Let me just smooth out some of the geometry at the back here. I'm going to smooth out some of this geometry here. Alright, something like this looks good. We're never going to see this side, so yeah. I'm not really going to pay much attention to this part. I'm just going to sculpt what's going to be seen on the camera, from the camera view. I'm not going to pay much attention to this part. Okay, now I can go in and I can sculpt the hair. Now let me just clean up the folds, shape of folds here. Okay, nice. Now I'm going to add in this part of the hair, the other part of the hair that we did add in, and I can use, I'm just going to use the line protect brush here, or no, the lasso marks brush here. I'm going to select this part of the head. I'm going to deselect this part. And mask extract. I'm going to extract this into its own separate object. And I'm going to increase the thickness here. Okay, I'm just going to clean up the mask before I, okay, something more like that, mask and then mask extract. Okay, I don't know if this is the right way to go. Okay, I'm going to get rid of this. I'm just going to extrude this one down. Okay, something more like this is much better. I'm going to, okay, go from the side view here. Okay, so for this part you can have something that looks like this. I'm just going to push this into shape just a little bit more. And I'm going to remesh all of these. Doesn't need to be. I'm just going to smooth out all of these. Okay, and I'm going to actually paint in the color here. I'm just going to pick this color and I'll go ahead and just paint that in. Alright, something more like that. I'm going to come here and let's just add in, use the cliches brush to add in some brush strokes to show the direction of the hair. Okay, I'm going to add in some more resolution here, and I just keep on using the clay brush to add in. Okay, something more like this. You can definitely adjust the shapes a little bit more. Okay, and I see equation. I found mouths so difficult, especially these really thin ones and those being mouths. It's really hard to close the mouth back. Okay, so if you're doing the mouth back for like a bean shaped mouth, I'll highly recommend that you don't do it while sculpting. You can just sculpt the mouth closed, and then once you get to the topology stage, then you can model in the mouth back. So that's just what I'm going to say for the lips. And then really thin lips is actually the same thing with like really wide lips. If you know the process for sculpting really wide lips, you can actually sculpt really thin lips. So let me just show you an example here. I'm going to use the crease polish brush to just mark this out. Okay, something like this. And then you can just use the crease polish brush while holding down control. Then you can just mark in the edge of the lips. And then I'm going to mark out the chin just to bring out the shape of the lower lip. Then I'm just going to mark this out. Okay, then you can just make that look a lot nicer. So just with those simple brush strokes, we're able to sculpt in the lips already. So it's really simple to do if you know the steps that you need to do it. So you can always use the steps for any types of lip, whether thin lips or really thick lips. Okay, I'm just going to undo those steps. Okay. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add in a grease pencil blank stroke object. I'm going to go into draw mode and I'm going to choose the color. Let me color pick this color right here. I'm going to make it a lot darker. And I'm just going to draw out the details on the fluids. Alright, and we have something that looks like this. So I'm just going to go in and just draw out the lines, the patterns on the fluids. Then you can be really messy with it as much as you want. I'm going to increase the strength of my brush a little bit. And also the same thing right here. Okay, I'm also just going to draw out fingernails right here. Okay, something like this. I can mark out right here. Okay, I have something that looks like that. I'm just going to go in and add these crisp pencil strokes to other parts of the sculpt. I'm going to draw in the lips right here. Let me see, something like this. I'm just going to see which shape of the lips is going to look nice. Okay, yeah, I think I like that one. And okay, something like that is going to be fine for now. You can go in the jaw. Okay, I'm going to go to the ear here, just add in some of these details. And also just come in here and draw some more freckles, just like we did with the sculpting brushes. Okay, I can also go on the hair and add in a lot more details in the hair. Just going to isolate this mesh. I'm going to draw mode and okay. Okay, and I'm also going to add in some details right here in the hair too, and just to show the direction. Okay, and let me see. Alright, so I'm going to duplicate this and I'm going to scale this on the x-axis, on the z-axis, and I'm just going to place this one right here.